8 seconds. That's all the time General George S. Patton had between touching the King Tiger's ignition switch and a catastrophic explosion that would have killed 43 Allied officers and changed the entire outcome of the war's final month.
Stand firm. But sir,
April 1945.
Fear is the
Patton's
enemy.
Third Army had just captured the crown
stand
jewel of
firm.
Nazi armor.
But sir,
a fully intact King Tiger.
Fear is the enemy.
70 tons of German engineering superiority. The most powerful tank ever built. Armed with an 88mm gun that could penetrate any Allied armor from over 2 miles away. And Patton wanted to drive it himself.
Gentlemen,
His
for
staff
the next
begged him
phase,
to reconsider.
is
His
that what I
intelligence
think it
officers
is?
warned about booby traps.
For the boys of NATO.
But Patton refused.
Danke, Herr
If we're going
General.
to beat the Germans,
Es war mir
I
eine
need to
Ehre.
understand what makes their best weapons
Ich werde es
tick.
nie vergessen.
He climbed onto the massive steel beast. 43 senior Allied officers stood watching their legendary commander about to test drive Hitler's ultimate weapon. Cameras were ready to document this historic moment. Patton's hand moved toward the starter button. Then a German prisoner broke through the guard line. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, Wehrmacht tank engineer. His hands were bound, his face covered in desperation, and he was screaming one word in broken English: "Stop!" The King Tiger weighed 70 tons, nearly twice as heavy as an American Sherman. Its frontal armor was 7 inches thick. American tank shells would bounce off it like pebbles. British Churchill tanks couldn't penetrate it even at point-blank range. But it was the gun that truly terrified Allied crews. The 88mm cannon could destroy a Sherman from 2.5 miles away before the American tank even knew it was being targeted. A single King Tiger could control an entire battlefield. Allied intelligence estimated only 489 King Tigers were ever produced. Each one required 300,000 man-hours to build. But when operational and positioned correctly, it was virtually unstoppable. That's why Patton's capture of an intact, functional King Tiger near Ohrdruf, Germany, was considered an intelligence goldmine. And Patton, being Patton, wanted to drive it before anyone else touched it. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber was not supposed to be at that demonstration. He should have been in a POW processing camp, being interrogated about German armor specifications. Weber was a rare prize, a Wehrmacht tank engineer with doctorate-level knowledge. He had worked at the Henschel plant in Kassel, where King Tigers were manufactured. He knew every bolt, every weld, every weakness. He had been cooperating fully with American interrogators for 3 days, telling them everything about production numbers, armor weaknesses, transmission problems. Germany had lost. The war was over. He saw no point in continued loyalty. But when Weber heard that Patton planned to test drive a captured King Tiger, something triggered a memory that made his blood run cold. He demanded to speak with the commanding officer immediately. He begged. He pleaded. Finally, he convinced a lieutenant that what he knew could save American lives. When Weber arrived, Patton was already climbing onto the tank. The demonstration had started early. Weber saw the tank number painted on the turret, 332. His heart stopped. He knew that tank. He had personally supervised its final maintenance at Kassel in February 1945, and he remembered the hushed conversation between 2 SS officers about insurance and Werwolf protocol, and making sure no German tank ever serves the enemy. Weber broke into a run, screaming, "Stop! Bomb! Bomb in tank!" 8 seconds to decide. Patton's hand froze 6 inches from the starter button. Every officer reached for their sidearms. Was this a distraction for an ambush? Was the German trying to prevent intelligence gathering? Or was he telling the truth? Weber was tackled by MPS, but he kept screaming, "Starter circuit! Explosive! 8 seconds after ignition! Please, General, please!" Patton climbed down and walked over to where Weber was held face down in the dirt. "Let him up," Patton ordered. Weber was pulled to his feet, gasping. His eyes locked with Patton's. "You're telling me this tank is rigged to explode?" Weber nodded frantically. "Yes, Herr General. February. Kassel Factory. SS Werwolf program. Selected King Tigers. Sabotage before deployment. If captured, kill enemy commanders." Patton's intelligence officer stepped forward. "Sir, this could be disinformation. He could be trying to prevent us from—" "He broke through a guard line and risked being shot," Patton interrupted. "If he wanted to kill Americans, he could have stayed silent. Why warn us?" Weber's voice cracked. "Because I am engineer, not murderer. I build tanks. not bombs. This is assassination, not honorable. Patton turned to his chief engineer. Morrison, is it technically feasible to wire an explosive to the starter circuit? Morrison nodded. Yes, sir. Relatively simple. A small charge wired to the starter relay. 8-second delay. Absolutely possible. Patton looked back at Weber. You're certain it's 8 seconds? Yes, Herr General. 8 seconds. Enough time for inspection. Not enough for crew to escape after starting engine. Patton made his decision. Morrison, get your bomb disposal team. Tear that King Tiger apart. If Weber is lying, we'll know in an hour. If he's telling the truth, we need to find out how many other captured tanks are ticking time bombs. It took 47 minutes to locate the device. It was exactly where Weber said, wired into the starter relay, hidden behind the radio panel. British plastic explosive molded around a chemical delay fuse, no bigger than a cigarette pack, but packed with enough explosive to turn the tank's interior into a shrapnel-filled crematorium. Anyone inside would have been killed instantly. The 43 officers standing nearby would have been shredded. Morrison carefully disarmed it. 23 minutes of nerve-shredding precision work. Patton examined the device, his face carved from stone. Then he walked over to Weber. Hauptmann Weber, you just saved my life. You saved 43 Allied officers. Why? Weber was silent for a long moment. My son was 12 years old. He was killed in the bombing of Kassel in September 1944. American bombs. Your bombs. He looked up at Patton. I could hate you for that, but the war killed him. Hitler killed him by starting this madness. His voice hardened. The SS men who put that bomb, they only wanted more death, more killing. Even after we lost, they wanted the hate to never end. I am tired of death, General. I just want it to stop. Patton studied the German engineer. Then he did something that shocked every officer present. He extended his hand. Weber stared in disbelief, but slowly he took it. Patton's grip was firm. You're a good man, Hauptmann. You chose humanity over hatred. That takes more courage than anything I've done in this war. Weber's warning opened a Pandora's box. Over the next 2 weeks, he helped inspect every captured German vehicle in Third Army custody. They found 11 more sabotaged vehicles, 3 King Tigers, 4 Panthers, 3 assault guns, 1 Tiger I. Every single one rigged with 8-second delayed explosives. Everyone processed through Kassel between January and March 1945. All part of SS Werwolf Trojan horse assassination weapons. If Weber hadn't spoken up, 12 Allied generals had been marked for death through sabotaged equipment. The chaos could have extended the war by months, costing tens of thousands of additional lives. One German engineer's conscience had prevented all of it. Friedrich Weber was assigned to Third Army's Technical Intelligence Unit after the incident. His expertise saved over 2,000 vehicles from potential sabotage. After the war, he helped rebuild Germany under the Marshall Plan, then emigrated to America in 1950. He worked for Chrysler's tank division, helping design the M47 Patton tank, named after the general whose life he had saved. Weber died in 1981 at age 72. Among his effects, his family found a letter from Patton, written days before the general's fatal 1945 car accident. Hauptmann Weber, you taught me that honor is not about which flag you serve under. It's about what you do when speaking up costs you everything. You could have let me die. Instead, you saved me and 43 men simply because it was right. That is the truest kind of courage. Thank you for showing me what that looks like. The letter was never sent, but it hung in Weber's family home for decades. In 2003, the U.S. Army officially recognized Weber posthumously with the Civilian Award for Humanitarian Service. The citation read, "For extraordinary courage in preventing the assassination of Allied commanders and saving countless lives through acts of conscience during World War II. 8 seconds. That's all it would have taken to kill Patton and change history. But one German engineer chose conscience over hatred. Sometimes the greatest act of war is choosing peace. Sometimes the bravest soldier is the one who saves the enemy. And sometimes, 8 seconds of trust between former adversaries can prevent months of bloodshed. The disarmed bomb from King Tiger 332 sits today in a Smithsonian storage facility, a small cigarette pack-sized device that nearly erased 43 lives and altered the course of history. Next to it, In the archive log is a handwritten note from the curator who cataloged it in 1946. 8 seconds between ignition and detonation. 8 seconds between trust and betrayal. 8 seconds that proved conscience has no nationality. Weber's daughter donated her father's Wehrmacht engineering notebook to the same collection in 2004. Its pages filled with technical drawings and tank specifications. But on the final page, written in English after the war, a single sentence. I built 127 tanks that killed many men. I saved 43 men with one warning. The math will never balance, but at least I tried to make it count.